There's a plant most gardeners either curse, ignore, or skim out of water with mild annoyance. It grows faster than almost anything else you've ever seen. Left alone, it can double its mass in as little as 3 days. It pulls nutrients straight out of its environment, concentrates them into living green matter, and hands them back to the soil when you're done with it. And yet, instead of calling it a miracle crop, we call it a weed. Today on Soil Stories, I want to slow down and take a proper look at duckweed, not as a nuisance, but as one of the most misunderstood allies a gardener can have. This isn't theory. This is practical, usable knowledge you can put to work in your garden this season and every season after. Duckweed isn't dramatic. It doesn't climb trellises or flower brightly. It floats quietly on the surface of ponds, barrels, and slow-moving water, forming a soft green carpet that many people instinctively remove. But beneath that simplicity is speed that borders on absurd. Under good conditions, duckweed can double its biomass every 2 to 3 days. Few plants on Earth can match that pace. What that means for gardeners is simple: more green matter, more nutrients, more soil life, faster. Duckweed grows by absorbing nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals directly from the water. It doesn't waste energy on thick stems or woody structures. Everything it absorbs becomes soft, nutrient-rich tissue. When you harvest it, you're harvesting concentrated fertility. That alone should earn it a place in the garden, but it goes even deeper. Most fertilizers are extracted, manufactured, transported, and applied. Duckweed skips all of that. It harvests fertility for you. When duckweed grows in nutrient-rich water, whether that's pond water, fish water, compost tea runoff, or gray water that's safe for plants, it locks those nutrients into its leaves. When you remove the duckweed and add it to soil, compost, or mulch layers, those nutrients are released slowly as the plant breaks down. This matters because slow-release fertility feeds soil life instead of overwhelming it. Earthworms, fungi, and bacteria thrive on soft green inputs like duckweed. Instead of burning plants the way synthetic fertilizers can, duckweed builds soil structure and biology over time. Gardeners who regularly add duckweed to beds often notice darker soil, improved moisture retention, and steadier plant growth rather than sudden bursts followed by exhaustion. That's not magic. That's biology working as it's meant to. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We often call plants weeds when they grow faster than our systems can control. Duckweed spreads quickly, and in unmanaged water systems it can blanket surfaces and reduce oxygen exchange. In ornamental ponds, that's considered a problem. In industrial agriculture, anything that resists neat categorization is pushed aside. But speed isn't a flaw. It's a feature, if you know how to work with it. Historically, duckweed has been used as animal feed, green manure, water purifier, and soil amendment. The weed label came later, when gardening shifted toward aesthetics and uniformity instead of function. In regenerative gardening, usefulness matters more than appearances. Duckweed excels there. The real power of duckweed shows up when you start harvesting it intentionally. If you have a pond, water barrel, or even a shallow container, duckweed will grow. Scoop it out every few days and use it fresh. You can lay it directly on garden beds as a green mulch, especially around heavy feeders like tomatoes, maize, squash, or brassicas. As it wilts, it forms a thin mat that protects soil from drying out while releasing nutrients. Unlike straw or wood chips, duckweed breaks down quickly. That makes it ideal for fast-growing crops that need constant feeding. You can also add duckweed to compost piles. Because it's nitrogen-rich, it balances dry carbon materials beautifully. Compost heats faster, finishes sooner, and ends up richer. For gardeners practicing no-dig or minimal tillage, duckweed fits perfectly. It feeds without disturbance. One of my favorite uses, and one I encourage every Soil Stories gardener to try, is duckweed tea. Fill a bucket with harvested duckweed, add water, and let it sit for a few days. The water turns green, smells earthy, and becomes loaded with soluble nutrients. Dilute it and water your plants at the base. It's gentle, effective, and free. This kind of fertility doesn't shock plants. It supports steady growth and strong root systems, which matter far more than quick top growth. Duckweed doesn't just grow fast, it cleans as it grows. It absorbs excess nutrients from water, reducing algae growth and improving water quality. That's why it's used in wastewater treatment systems around the world. For home gardeners, this means you can use duckweed to clean pond water, then transfer those captured nutrients back into the garden. It closes a loop that most gardens leave wide open. Instead of nutrients washing away, they cycle back into food production. That's sustainable gardening in its purest form. Yes, duckweed grows fast. That's the point. Management is simple. Harvest regularly. If you leave it alone, it will cover water surfaces completely. If you remove a portion every few days, it stays productive without becoming overwhelming. Think of it like pruning. Growth responds to removal. The more you harvest, the more it grows. And the more it grows, the more fertility you generate. Once you start seeing duckweed as a crop rather than a nuisance, its behavior makes perfect sense. Soils worldwide are depleted. Fertilizer prices rise. Water becomes more precious. Solutions that regenerate instead of extract will define the gardens that thrive. Duckweed offers something rare: speed, simplicity, and sustainability wrapped into one unassuming plant. It doesn't ask for perfect conditions. It doesn't demand chemicals. It simply grows and gives back. Calling it a weed says more about our habits than the plant itself. The real question isn't why duckweed grows so fast. The question is why we ignore plants that solve problems quietly. In a world obsessed with buying inputs, duckweed reminds us that fertility can be grown, not purchased. That soil can be fed without being forced. That nature often provides answers we're too quick to skim off the surface and throw away. That's a story worth telling, and one worth using. If this kind of grounded, practical gardening knowledge speaks to you, make sure you subscribe to Soil Stories, share this with a fellow gardener, and keep these conversations alive. The more we rethink what we call a weed, the richer our soil and our gardens become.